Κυρίες και κύριοι, καλησπέρα σας. Καλώς ήρθατε σε άλλη μια εκπομπή με θέμα Ελλάδα, εθνική και διεθνής ασφάλεια. Σήμερα, με αφορμή τον αποτρόπαιο αποκεφαλισμό του Σαμουέλ Πατή, ενός δασκάλου στη Γαλλία πριν ένα μήνα, θα συζητήσουμε για το Ισλάμ, για τον Ισλαμισμό και ποια η διαφοροποίηση, και θα δούμε κάποια θέματα της επικαιρότητας που επανέρχονται και μας ενδιαφέρουν. Γι' αυτό το λόγο έχουμε μαζί μας τον πολύ γνωστό καθηγητή του Ινστιτούτου Πολιτικών Σπουδών στο Παρίσι, τον Ζιλ Κεπέλ, ο οποίος είναι από τους πιο σημαντικούς μελετητές του αραβικού κόσμου. Μάλιστα πρόσφατα μεταφράστηκε στα ελληνικά και κυκλοφόρησε το τελευταίο του βιβλίο «Έξοδος από το χάος, κρίση στη Μεσόγειο και τη Μέση Ανατολή». Ο Ζιλ Κεπέλ έχει ασχοληθεί πάρα πολλά χρόνια με το θέμα του Ισλάμ και του αραβικού κόσμου και γι' αυτό το λόγο θα μας βοηθήσει να καταλάβουμε λίγο αυτόν τον κόσμο που στους περισσότερους από εμάς είναι άγνωστος. Professor, good afternoon. Thank you so much for being with us today. As we talked before, we're going to discuss, following the events of the beheading of Samuel Paty, the discussion about radical Islam has revived, of course. Emmanuel Macron has said that Samuel Paty got killed because the Islamists want our future. What is the context behind this kind of attacks?
Καλημέρα σας και ευχαριστώ πάρα πολύ.
Bienvenue.
But I will speak English. Samuel Paty was a teacher in a French gymnasio, or lycée as we say, and he was beheaded because he had shown a picture of a caricature of Prophet Muhammad to his children, to his pupils, in order to discuss the issue of free speech and blasphemy. But the most important is that he had been singled out by what I call a sort of jihadism of atmosphere, atmospherico jihadismo, that was started by pupils, parents, people who were Islamists, who were militants, but they were not really interested in killing him. They just sort of targeted him. And then you had those other people who were far more violent militants who decided to kill him. So this is the challenge that we are facing now. It's a new generation of jihadists. It's not like the old ones with their networks that could be undone. It's something new. You have this atmosphere which is created, i.e. break away with the French state, break away with secularism. We don't believe in you. We target your people. We don't want you to teach our children things and morals. And then you have some other people who branch on that and then commit beheadings and jihad. And this is the big challenge we are now facing.
Islam is the faith of 1.6 billion people. It's the second biggest faith in terms of population. However, believing in Islam, being a Muslim, doesn't mean that you're an Islamist. I mean, people get confused about the terms. Could you, based on your enormous experience, explain with simple terms Islam, Islamism, jihad, the very basic terms that we keep on hearing and we really don't understand the difference of them and the meaning? Islamist
means critical Islam. Like, for instance, the Muslim Brothers and others, and who want to create a society where law is based upon the teachings of the Quran, the Sharia, as interpreted by a number of scholars. Now, the issue of Islam in the West means that, in secular countries of the West, whether secularism is legal or just an atmosphere of secularism, you are free to have your creed. You can be a Muslim, a Jew, a Christian, an Orthodox, a Catholic, Protestant, an atheist. Who cares? I mean, it does not interfere with public life. But Islamists want public life to be ruled by the tenets of religion. And this is a problem, of course. And this is where Emmanuel Macron made his famous speech on the 2nd of October in a city called Les Mureaux in the outskirts of Paris, where a policeman had been killed already by an Islamist, a jihadist. And this is why he said that, you know, we cannot accept a vision of society which carries what he calls Islamist separatism. That is to say, building separate communities that do not abide by the law of the country, but who consider that this is null and void, and who have their own laws, and who then have people within them who would take action, and then who would decide that it is okay to behead someone because they consider that he is not behaving according to Islam. This is where the challenge is now, not with Muslims at large. There are, I don't know, 6-7 million of Muslims in France. And there are more coming every day through immigration. So it must be that, you know, our Muslim compatriots are not particularly unhappy with being in France. On the contrary, it is an inclusive society. But Islamists and jihadists are taking our Muslim compatriots and others hostage to their views. If we do not do anything, we'll end like Syria. This is what Macron had in mind.
In the rest of, I mean, we saw Macron's reaction. What should the role of the state be accordingly? We saw, for example, Erdogan blaming Europe for Islamophobia. I mean, we see that states are not using, but are looking at it in a very political way. What do you believe about that? How should they deal about it?
Well, there is now a major struggle within Islam for hegemony. Who will be the leader who will speak in the name of Islam and then gather the support of Muslims worldwide? Traditionally, Saudi Arabia, because of Mecca, because of pilgrimage or Hajj, was absolutely central. This year, President Erdogan decided to re-Islamize Hagia Sophia on the 24th of July and to sort of go back to making it a symbol of Muslim conquest. And he sees himself more or less as a new Mehmet Fatih who conquered Constantinople in 1453. Therefore, he has been beating the drums to accuse Europe of Islamophobia, and particularly President Macron and the French, because, you know, he also did that against Atatürk's legacy. Atatürk was a secularist. The word in Turkish for secularism is laïc, as it is in French. And Atatürk was a francophone. And, you know, Erdogan wants to uproot totally secularism from Turkey. So this is why he is so excited on this hatred against Europe and against France. Also, he's now hosting most Muslim brothers who have fled from Egypt, for instance, in Turkey. And there is an Erdogan strategy towards Europe to influence his people there so that they would vote for or against some candidates. And this is one of the reasons why Mrs. Merkel today is very worried, and she on the 1st of October EU summit, she played soft, very soft on Erdogan because she's worried that, you know, Turks in Germany would vote against her. But since the attack in Vienna and the jihadist attack in among German-speaking groups of Islamists, she's not very worried, and we're looking forward to what will happen during the next EU summits in Brussels. Will she stand by her attitude of the last summit, or on the contrary, will there be a resistance against those actions, like what happens in terms of attacks against EU leaders, sending the Oruç Reis gas searching ship in Greek and Cypriot EU, and so on and so forth. And, you know, President Erdogan now has a very difficult situation at home with the Turkish lira crashing with a number of issues. His polls are not good. He enjoyed a very strong relation with Donald Trump because they like themselves as strong leaders. This is not going to be the same with Joe Biden, who called him an autocrat. So he's trying to gain time, and I believe the next EU summit on the 10th of December will be absolutely crucial in this regard.
You really explained the geopolitical balance and the role of Turkey very well in your book, The Truth Is. I just want to go to one last thing. As Greeks, we have a very long tradition of cohabiting with Muslims. We have the community, the Muslim community in Thrace, in Western Thrace, as you know, and we didn't have any extreme actions, and we didn't produce any jihadists. So, but with the inflow of migration that we had for the last years, Islam, let's say the fear, there's a growing fear of Greeks towards Muslims. And my question is, how migration is connected to radical Islamism? I mean, is there any connection?
Most migrants who try to come to Europe to have a better life are not jihadists, but jihadists have used migration routes in order to infiltrate people into Europe. And particularly in the French case, the attacks on the Bataclan and the Paris football stadium late in November 2015 were organized from Athens and from Edirne in Turkey, where the main recruiter had people who he brought in from Mytilene and other places in order to send them to Paris. And very recently also, the Tunisian jihadist who stabbed 3 people to death in the Nice Basilica of Notre Dame had just come over from Tunisia and Italy and crossed into France illegally near Nice. So therefore, this is a major issue, and in the past, Greece was not helped enough by the EU in order to check the borders, particularly in Chios, because they did not have the necessary capacity to identify people and the like. So this is a big responsibility for the whole of the EU. We cannot leave, of course, Greece alone to man the borders, and the fire that broke at Moria in Mytilene the day before the Med7 summits on the 9th of September, of course, was an important case in point.
Professor Kepel, thank you so much for giving us all this information and explaining to us things that we're really not so familiar with. I hope I will have the pleasure to discuss with you in the future again. Thank you so much, and good luck with the new book also. Bonne journée.